Tonight on CBC Vancouver News. Shots fired.
And they're asking for extortion, like the $50K Canadian dollars from me.
As police investigate another instance of alleged extortion, the federal Conservatives renew calls to clamp down on crime.
We don't want to invite criminals to our country.
Plus, parting from the Greens. Longtime leader Elizabeth May says she'll be stepping down eventually.
I love the Green Party. We desperately need more Greens elected to Parliament.
What's next for the party? And stranded campers. The hours-long rescue to help dozens of hikers trapped by flooding in a BC provincial park.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Baneet Braich, and thank you for joining us. A Surrey business owner says shots were fired at his car wash after someone allegedly tried to extort him for money. The incident is now being investigated by police, and as Saurabh Sandhu reports, the issue is drawing attention from the federal opposition party.
Lovepreet Singh is setting up his new pressure washer. He lost most of his car wash equipment when someone broke into his business and fired shots through the window.
They took all of the supplies like I kept for my backup, and they get my all of the polisher and polishes, the expensive one and the cheap one. They get everything. They didn't left in single thing.
Singh says hours before the incident, he had received a call from someone trying to extort him.
Someone giving me threats on the WhatsApp call, and they're asking for extortion, like the $50K Canadian dollars from me.
Singh says he reported the call to police right away. Hours later, he was woken up by police informing him of the shooting incident. Surrey Police tells CBC its frontline investigative support team has taken over the investigation, but the incident has left Singh shaken.
Because if we are going outside with my family, I don't know, like someone is following me or not. If I'm over here on my shop, like my customers' cars is safe over here or not.
This criminologist says his concerns are shared with others in the community.
And so for the communities, there is a real anxiety, fear about how this is being, how they should proceed for their own personal safety and well-being, as well as their family members.
Surrey Police says 10 cases of alleged extortion have been reported in the last 6 months, many of them targeting members of BC's South Asian community, and are told to pay under the threats of death or violence. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre mentioned violence in Surrey when introducing his new action plan to end extortion and reduce violence.
That would shut down an international extortion network that has terrorized communities like Surrey, Brampton, Northeast Calgary over the last 7 years.
He's calling for stricter sentences for extortionists and tougher bail requirements to keep violent offenders in jail. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
Green Party leader Elizabeth May has announced that she won't lead the party into the next federal election. May says her strategy to find a replacement comes after several failed attempts at passing the torch. Katie DeRosa reports.
After several failed attempts to find a new successor, federal Green Party leader Elizabeth May says she's finally passing the torch for good. Supporters learned via email that May will not lead the party into the next federal election. But she still wants party faithful to back her in the leadership review this fall. Under the party's constitution, it must conduct a leadership review within 6 months of an election.
Allow me to continue to do this job at least until 2026, but we need time to plan to have a leadership race.
May first stepped down as leader in 2019 after 13 years at the helm. She was replaced by Annamie Paul, but Paul's leadership was tumultuous, plagued by internal party infighting.
When I stepped down, it was admittedly semi-disastrous.
May returned to the leadership in 2022 in an unorthodox co-leadership with Jonathan Pedneau. May returned as the sole leader after Pedneau failed to win his seat, leaving May as the sole elected Green MP. Former BC Green Party leader Adrian Carr says May's gradual handover after the leadership review gives the party more time to find a successor. successor.
She has a smart strategy. She's supporting a robust leadership contest prior to the next federal election.
This former BC Green leader says the next federal Green leader must try and appeal to centrist voters to widen its support.
If you want to get elected, if you want to have influence, you're going to need to appeal to the 60%.
The provincial Green Party is also in the midst of a leadership race. Sonia Furstenau stepped down after losing her seat in October's provincial election. 3 people, Jonathan Kerr, Emily Lowen, and Adam Bremner-Akins, are vying to replace her. The winner will be announced in September. May plans to run again as an MP in Saanich Gulf Islands, a seat she's held since 2011. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
As students get ready to head back to school, health officials are urging parents and guardians to make sure their kids' immunization records are up to date. They say as kids start gathering at school, they will be exposed to infectious diseases like influenza, polio, measles, chickenpox, and COVID-19. Children under 18 are eligible for publicly funded vaccines. You can visit healthlinkbc.ca to see where to get those shots. Air Canada is working to ramp up operations again. That's after it reached a tentative deal with the union representing around 10,000 flight attendants. But travelers are still working around delays and cancellations. Michelle Morton brings us the latest from Vancouver International Airport.
I'm in the domestic departure area where it appears to be business as usual. Earlier, seeing several Air Canada staff members helping people at the kiosks and guiding others to the bag drop-off. Now, YVR is asking passengers to plan ahead and check their flight status before heading here. Because while Air Canada relaunched its operations yesterday after the 3-day flight attendant strike, it's warning it could take a week or longer to get back to regular service, and so some flights are still expected to be canceled. For example, today, YVR says there are 47 flight cancellations. There are no impacts to other airlines operating at YVR. We spoke with some passengers who said their travel plans are on track, others a little more challenging.
You need to book the flight, but theirs like so expensive, and book this flight for like $3,000.
No, I just got a delay on my flight, so an hour delay.
We had to go from Anchorage to Portland to Vancouver.
Today, luckily, it all worked out, flying home. We were sweating, though.
I was not able to book anything through Air Canada, so they had given us instructions online, and I couldn't follow any of them. So I basically just booked my own tickets back. So that's out of pocket for me. Hopefully, I'll be able to get that back.
Air Canada says it will cover some transportation expenses picked up by their customers during the recent work stoppage. It says it will reimburse travelers if their flight was scheduled to depart between August 15th to August 23rd, and if Air Canada was unable to rebook them. The airline is advising passengers who were affected by the strike looking for a refund to go to its website for details. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Richmond.
A small town in BC is buzzing after the world's richest man came to visit. Elon Musk made an unexpected touchdown in Bella Bella. The CEO of X and Tesla landed in the town on Saturday in a small private plane. Then he was flown out by helicopter. With him were a woman, a child, and a trio of men. One resident says the small town is used to seeing rich and famous people pass through, but for him, Musk's visit will be memorable.
It was exciting to see that he was there. Definitely was kind of unbelievable at first, but once we knew he was here, it was exciting for me. You know, it's not every day the richest man in the world comes through here. It's a very small village.
Carter says many believe that Musk was on his way to a property off the coast owned by James Murdoch, the son of media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Musk flew out on Monday, and CBC News has reached out to Tesla for comment. American singer Sean Foyt will not be allowed to perform at the West Kelowna Memorial Park this weekend. The city declined to give him a permit, citing safety concerns. The Christian musician has faced public backlash for his support of U.S. President Donald Trump and over comments he's made about abortion, to us LGBTQ+ rights and gender diversity. The city of West Kelowna says they expected 2,000 people to attend the concert, with an additional 1,000 people showing up to protest, something the park is not equipped to handle. The city of Abbotsford has also similarly denied a permit for a performance this Sunday. A group of Palestinian Canadians are calling upon Immigration Canada for urgent evacuation of family members stuck in Gaza. The group has staged sit-ins outside the IRCC office in Vancouver for 6 weeks, calling for immediate action. Canada's Special Immigration Measures Program launched in December 2023 and promised refuge to the relatives of Palestinian Canadians in Gaza. The group says so far the program has not led to evacuations and hundreds of loved ones remain in need of help.
Every delay is a wound and every excuse is another nightmare. We are not asking for charity. We're only asking for dignity and justice, for the right to hold our families again.
The group says countries like France, Germany, and Italy have successfully evacuated people out of Gaza, and they are now urging Canada to do the same. On Vancouver Island, some relief. Crews say the Mount Underwood fire south of Port Alberni has seen minimal growth, so that all means that residents can finally return home. Evacuation orders have been lifted for the China Creek Campground and Headquarters Bay, but both are still on evacuation alert. The city of Port Alberni and the Sechot First Nations reserves are no longer under alert.
There are now no active evacuation alerts or orders within the city of Port Alberni. I do want to be clear that the local state of emergency does remain in effect currently, and we will continue to evaluate if that is needed over the next few days and into the coming weeks if needed. Additionally, the water restrictions, the Stage 3 water restrictions for the city of Port Alberni do remain in place. And
Banfield and the surrounding area is still without power. BC Hydro says it's aiming to have the lights back on by August 30th. Dozens of hikers were safely rescued from a provincial park after a creek flooded. It took rescuers 10 helicopter trips and about 7 hours to airlift over 60 people from Bugaboo Provincial Park on Sunday. That's after the creek running near the Cane Hut and under the trail bridge began to rise. 10 SAR members responded to the call. They secured a large helicopter and 2 vehicles and made their way to a staging area at the park.
Overall, we moved over 60 people between the campgrounds and the hut out to the staging, and it took about 7 hours total from when we were called to when we had everybody out.
Bugaboo Park is roughly 3.5-hour drive along Highway 1 from Calgary. BC Park's website says the core area of the park is closed due to flooding until further notice. Darius Madavi joins us now with a first look at the weather. Darius, what's going on?
Well, we got some thunderstorms up in the northeast, as well as a couple lightning strikes down closer to the central interior, but very little precipitation along with those, unfortunately. Well, I will note right along the border there in the far north, that is because we don't have radar coverage there, but minimal precipitation across the board. If we take a look at our temperatures over the next few days, this is going to be the big story because we're nothing but sunny across the province. You can see those temperatures rising here on the south coast. We'll take a look at the temperatures more broadly across the province later in the show, but I do want to highlight the impact that climate change is having on these temperatures, making them much more likely. This is today, here's tomorrow, and here's the day after. These temperatures that we're going to see, very, very hot, much above normal, made far more likely because of climate change.
Lots of heat. Thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
Every Wednesday this summer, we have hosted a musical guest for our CBC Musical Nooners. And this week marked the final performance by the twin sister duo, Fionn. Hailing from White Rock, the sisters cross a range of genres in their music, from pop to folk, and they brought some electric energy to this late August day. That was a great time. Running a 2-day ultra marathon is no small feat, especially with a medical challenge. After the break, how one runner not only finished the race, but is also raising awareness about his condition.
I'm Stephen Quinn, and I love living here in Vancouver, BC. It's a city with world-renowned beauty, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In our new daily podcast, This is Vancouver, we're exploring the diverse range of issues and stories in this city, the good, the bad, and everything in between, as told by the people who live it every day. Don't miss This is Vancouver, available wherever you get your podcasts, and I'll talk to you soon.
BC's Veterinary College says it's facing possible insolvency next year unless its members vote to increase fees by the end of the month. But as Michelle Morton reports, this risk comes with a lot of uncertainty.
Sarah Armstrong says she knew from a young age she wanted to be a veterinarian.
I've always enjoyed working with people, working with animals.
In BC, all vets are regulated by the College of Veterinarians and could soon be paying more for membership because the college says it's facing possible insolvency in 2026 unless its members vote to increase fees by the end of the month. Vets pay a range of fees. For example, it costs nearly $1,400 to run a private practice, and the college wants to see that climb to $1,900. This isn't the first time the college has turned to vets to pay higher fees. Since 2011, vets voted down fee increases 3 times.
They've always presented a very rosy picture for their financials. We didn't see the need for the increase in fees.
The college's financial statements show a cumulative deficit of more than $1 million from 2023 and 2024. But in the 2 years before that, the college had a budget surplus of nearly $500,000. The college would not speak on the record with the CBC, citing a policy to deny media interviews. A lawyer who takes on cases involving animals wants to be sure the college keeps operating without disruption.
It will be devastating, without overstating that, for companion animals and their owners if there is nothing in place as a backup by the government or any other credible organization.
Armstrong, a board member with the Society of BC Veterinarians, is encouraging members to vote yes to the fee increase.
That will get them through to the 2026 years, and then we would like to see them come up with a reasonable budget to be able to move forward without having to ask for fee increases every year.
The Ministry of Agriculture ordered the college to hold the vote.
We will see the outcome of this referendum, and then we'll figure out what the future is for the relationship between the College of Vets and vets in BC.
Vets can vote online now until August 29th. Michelle Morton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Squamish 50-50. It's a 2-day ultramarathon that saw one competitor finish the race with an ostomy bag. Haley Carolyn has more on the man overcoming odds and inspiring others.
Home stretch, home stretch!
I wasn't sure I was going to be able to finish the race at all, but I'm really, really proud that I could.
Alex McInnes is still recovering after running 130 kilometers last weekend. He ran 2 ultramarathons to let other people living with an ostomy know what's possible.
First time for Alex McInnes. Oh my goodness, Alex McInnes!
You can go do hard things. Your life is not over, and so I chose something ridiculously hard.
I'd have to run the length of this park 260 times to run as far as Alex McInnes did this weekend on the Squamish 50-50. That's 50 miles on day 1 and then 50 kilometers on day 2. That's an accomplishment all on its own, but Alex did it with an ostomy bag too. McInnes lost his large intestine 6 years ago due to Crohn's disease. He now has an ostomy, which allows waste to pass through an opening on his abdomen. The president of Ostomy Canada says people like Alex are a reminder to those living with an ostomy that they're not alone.
An ostomy bag and a device that's normally covered up, and no one knows what people are faced with or what they're dealing with.
McInnes attempted the race last year, but had to drop out after 77 kilometers. He says this year was about redemption and finishing what he started.
1 kilometer left to go.
Everybody that followed along with the race, it was just like I was just overcome with relief, joy, all the feelings possible. Like, it was pretty incredible.
Haley Carolyn, CBC News, Vancouver.
And this was the day in White Rock. Plenty of clear blue skies across much of the south coast. Darius will have your full BC-wide weather forecast coming up. Going to the dentist can be a time-consuming task, especially for seniors. Getting to a care center, waiting for scans and diagnosis, all of this can be a barrier to older adults. Well, now a UBC dentistry team has developed an app called Tooth Portal that can cut out all of those preliminary steps. Now, for more on this, Dr. Chris Wyatt, director of the UBC Geriatric Dentistry Program, joins us now. Dr. Wyatt, thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you.
Let's start by talking about how does this app work?
It's like any other cell phone app. It can be used on any portable device. However, there's the issue of cybersecurity when we're dealing with personal information or images that can be uploaded. So it is actually a web-based app based on UBC secure server sites. So all the information can be uploaded from the app right to UBC, and the information then is transferred to the geriatric dentistry program, and we can then triage by looking at what is the patient concerned about, what images have been uploaded, and answering some simple questions about which teeth are present, if there's a denture present, if there is a tooth that's broken, or there's a toothache, or dental decay, or gum disease. And then our dentist can then decide whether the patient has to be seen immediately or we can schedule a regular appointment. So the hope is that we're increasing access to care, especially in long-term care, because frail older adults, it's not easy to transfer them to the dental office. So this way we can do some of that initial triage or checking the patient before they even have their dental appointment.
So it all starts really with that picture. What was the main motivation really to develop this project?
Well, this is one of the positive aspects of the pandemic. So over the pandemic, we had nursing staff, patients, relatives, doctors, dentists sending us images, either taken on their cell phones or uploaded attached to email attachments. And we were finding that these images were actually very useful. And we could actually determine conditions and other issues before we even saw the patient. So the first dental visit becomes a lot more efficient. Work can be done and consent can be gained ahead of time. We can consult with other individuals, other dental specialists or medical specialists, and actually share the images. Of course, this has to be done in a very secure manner, and that's where UBC cybersecurity comes in, and that's what's unique about our app. It's not something that we just use on our phones and all this information is on our phones.
So there you go, a look at how dentistry is being streamlined a little bit there. That again is Dr. Chris Wyatt, who's the director of the UBC Geriatric Dentistry Program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to Air Canada now. Flights are resuming, and the company is promising new support for some affected passengers. As Jennifer Lagrassa explains, alternate transport costs may be covered.
More travelers are back at Air Canada terminals as the airline continues to ramp up service. By Wednesday, the company says around 68% of impacted flights are back on.
We really want to get our customers on their way, and so that is the main focus right now.
Now the company is promising a new option for disrupted travelers. Other than rebooking or getting a refund, the airline might also cover different sorts of transportation, like a bus, ferry, or car rental. The company says coverage will be determined on a case-by-case basis.
We're definitely ready to go back home.
Carla Lapai and her family have been stuck in St. John's for days. They're trying to get back home to Regina. Extra nights in a hotel put her more than $1,000 over budget, costs the airline isn't planning to cover.
For the loyal customers that decided to stay with Air Canada and ride out the disruption, I think accommodation should be covered as well.
The Lapais are just some of the nearly 500,000 customers affected by the strike, which saw the union defy federal back-to-work orders until a tentative deal was reached Tuesday. That deal includes pay increases and compensation for unpaid work on the ground. While the airline's olive branch to passengers is more than what's required under Canada's air passenger protection regulations, some experts say it's still not good enough.
Too little, too late. When you're dealing with tens of thousands of customers at the peak of the leisure travel season, the damage has been done.
Air Canada should be doing more.
Other countries have more traveler protections in place. People flying out of Europe, for example, are covered by different passenger rights and will have more of their costs covered by Air Canada. Some tips for those in this country?
To keep track of every inconvenience, every expense that has been incurred, document it. Escalate your concerns within Air Canada's complaint resolution mechanism.
And that was CBC's Jennifer Lagrassa. Canada's defence minister says there is no place for hateful conduct and extremism in Canadian armed forces. This all comes after 5 soldiers were suspended over a video showing a group of people giving Nazi salutes. Marina von Stackelberg has more.
Canadian military members accused of hateful conduct. This week, the Army announced it's investigating a group of Quebec soldiers caught on video doing Nazi salutes. The defense minister releasing a statement. The Canadian Army acted swiftly, and the matter has been referred to the military police, and a disciplinary investigation is underway. Just last month, 2 active armed forces members were arrested on terrorism charges. They're accused of hatching a plot to take over land near Quebec City. They had stockpiled an arsenal of highly restricted firearms. Military personnel involved in extremist activities.
A lot of organizations deal with that kind of problem. It's just that the military is unique in the sense that those people have access to weapons.
This researcher in Canadian military culture says extremism within the Army isn't new. It's hard to know if it's getting worse or just being reported more often.
It's a complicated issue. I think that painting the military as a breeding ground for extremists and right-wing terrorists would be a step too far. But we need to understand that sometimes the military can attract this type of people.
Experts say some extremists view the Army, with its often authoritarian and hyper-masculine culture, as the ideal vision of society. And its culture of brotherhood means many members may still be too scared to report one another.
We just don't have a lot of transparency or publicly available information that really goes into the nature and scale of the problem in the Canadian Armed Forces.
The Army has begun internally tracking cases of hate and racism. Last year, it reported 54 cases, double from the year before. But experts say it is notable that the military is being proactive and sharing some of the details of those incidents. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
An Ontario police force is defending its decision regarding charges against a man alleged to have assaulted a home intruder who is now suffering from life-threatening injuries. As Mike Crawley explains, this is raising questions about self-defense and its limits.
It happened in Lindsay, a town in Ontario's Kawartha Lakes region. Police say a man broke into an apartment on this street on Monday around 3 a.m. The apartment's resident woke up and responded with enough force that the intruder was airlifted to hospital in Toronto with what police call life-threatening injuries. The alleged intruder faces 4 charges, including breaking and entering and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. The resident is charged with aggravated assault and assault with a weapon, and that is prompting strong reaction.
Did everyone hear about the story in Lindsay?
Ontario's premier weighs in.
I know if someone breaks into my house or someone else's, you're going to fight for your life. This guy has a weapon. You're going to use any force you possibly can to protect your family.
Similar views on Lindsay's main street, not far from where the incident happened.
I think you should be able to use any force necessary to defend your home and your family.
The person should be able to, prevent the guy, because who knows what that perpetrator would have did to him.
It's self-defense, personally. It kind of sucks a bit for him.
The blowback against the charges is so strong that the local police chief issued a statement calling the reaction unjust and inaccurate. While homeowners do have the right to protect themselves and their property, says the chief, The use of force must be reasonable given the circumstances.
Likely the police believe there was excessive force in the circumstances.
This lawyer says Canada's legal system puts limits on self-defense.
There has to be a defensive purpose to the actions. So it can't be for revenge or for believing this person deserves some sort of punishment or anything like that.
Police have not said if the two men know each other. The man who was living in the apartment has been released and is to appear in court at a later date. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Lindsay, Ontario.
CBC News has learned there has been an increase in the amount of cocaine seized at the border. The drugs were being smuggled from the U.S. into Canada, hidden inside transport trucks. As Thomas Yagla explains, in one case linked to a high-profile fugitive, truckers used a secret compartment.
They're a familiar sight on Canadian highways. Transport trucks are being used to help fuel a surge in drugs smuggled here across the U.S. border.
We are seeing unprecedented amounts of cocaine coming into this country.
CBC News analyzed all the busts in recent years Canada's border agency announced publicly. Our investigation finds a sharp rise in cocaine uncovered in commercial trucks. 1,100 kilograms so far this year. That's more than 1 ton and more than previous years.
There's been an overproduction of cocaine in Colombia, which means that they have to move a lot more product.
Indeed, the CBSA is reporting a flurry of seizures. In one bust in May, officers say they found $23 million worth of cocaine stashed in garbage bags and suitcases.
It coincides with the general lawlessness that's spreading in our industry.
One big seizure at the Blue Water Bridge linking Michigan to Ontario offers a glimpse into a smuggling scheme. Court documents show truckers used a hidden compartment to conceal cocaine bricks and carried the tools needed to access that hidden stash. 2 Canadians have now agreed to plead guilty in the conspiracy linked to former Olympian turned fugitive Ryan Wedding.
60 metric tons of cocaine per year and 5 metric tons of fentanyl per month moved through Los Angeles on its way to U.S. and Canadian cities.
The trucking industry is demanding more inspections at the border to help address what it considers a crisis.
We need Ottawa and the provinces in Washington to step in and bring law and order.
According to police, more than 6,000 tons of cocaine have poured into Canada in less than a year, an amount officials describe as unprecedented. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
A Canadian is among 4 judges on the International Criminal Court facing sanctions by the U.S. government. Kimberly Proust is one of those being targeted by the Trump administration after authorizing an investigation into potential war crimes in Afghanistan by U.S. personnel. Ashley Burke has those details.
Donald Trump's intensifying pressure on the International Criminal Court. His administration targeting a Canadian judge for a decision she made 5 years ago. Kimberly Proust was on a panel of judges who paved the way for prosecutors to investigate potential war crimes in Afghanistan, including by Americans. An earlier ICC report alleged that there was a reasonable basis to believe American forces and CIA officers subjected detainees to interrogation techniques involving torture, cruel treatment, and rape. Now, most of these allegations are from 2003 and 2004 in Afghanistan, but also CIA black sites in Europe. The U.S. has blasted the investigation, said it is unwarranted, and that it's committed to complying with the law. A spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General is now pushing back on Washington's sanctions.
Judicial independence is a basic principle that must be respected. And these types of measures undermine the foundation of international justice.
The U.S. has long complained about this international court for prosecuting people from countries that are not members. The U.S. is not one of the 125 countries that are state parties like Canada is. And this is the second round of sanctions against ICC members by the U.S. this year. The court's chief prosecutor was also targeted by Trump. He had his bank accounts frozen, lost access to his email account, and American staffers were told that they could be arrested if they traveled to the U.S. There are also reports that NGOs have stopped working entirely with the ICC, hurting the tribunal's work. In a statement, the ICC called the sanctions a flagrant attack against the independence of an impartial judicial institution. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Washington.
Israel has given final approval to a controversial settlement construction project in the occupied West Bank. It would effectively cut the territory in two, and some say it undermines the possibility of a future two-state solution. Margaret Evans reports on the impact of that project.
Male Adumim rises out of the desert hills east of Jerusalem like a towering fortress. Already one of the largest Jewish settlements in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, now on course to get even bigger. The mayor of Male Adumim, Guy Ifrak, says the decision to expand the settlement towards Jerusalem is a strategic one. I hope one day there will be an arrangement, he says, that Male Adumim will be a part of Jerusalem and the State of Israel. The Israeli cabinet minister and settler leader pushing the expansion, Bezalel Smotrich, is on the record saying it will bury the idea of a Palestinian state.
So many people living here.
And many Palestinians fear he's right.
Nobody cares about us. Nobody asking about us.
Anas Samir and his staff are clearing off the shelves in their grocery store. He's one of several Palestinian shopkeepers in the town of Al Izariya, adjacent to the E1 area, given notice that Israel plans to enforce old demolition orders. Part of the town expected to lose a slice to new roads serving the expansion.
Asking for help from anybody who can stop this building and this road.
The E1 plan has been on the books for decades, but the international community has repeatedly convinced Israel to shelve it until now, when there's a much more favorable U.S. president in the White House. Maruf al-Rafai says the Smotrich plan will cause huge disruption to Palestinians already pinned down by Israeli checkpoints, army incursions, and private roads for settlers.
If he succeeds to make this area for Ma'ale Adumim, he will surround all Jerusalem.
Cutting off the West Bank, he says, from occupied East Jerusalem, which Palestinians hope will one day be the capital of a Palestinian state. The mayor of Male Adumim insists the E1 expansion won't stop Palestinians traveling from the north of the West Bank to the south. Special roads will allow them to go around it. Israel calls them fabric of life roads. The Palestinians call them segregation roads. Margaret Evans, CBC News, in the occupied West Bank.
After the break, a new way to keep track of whales that researchers say is less invasive. Stay with us. Torrential rain is lashing northern Japan. Local media say it has prompted evacuation orders and disrupted transportation in several cities. Vehicles struggled to navigate the streets, swamped by record-breaking rainfall. At least one river flooded, stranding 28 people. The fresh water supply was disrupted for dozens of households, and train services were suspended in 2 cities. Darius Madavi joins us again with another look at the weather. Before we get to BC, Darius, you'd like to tell us about what's happening in the East Coast.
That's right. I want to talk a little bit about Hurricane Erin, which is currently sitting at a Category 2, although may strengthen to a Category 3 overnight, so returning to major hurricane status, although it would be expected to weaken again tomorrow as some unfavorable conditions move in. Now, we're not expecting to see any impacts in Atlantic Canada, aside from maybe some dangerous surf or rip currents, but with that being said, officials will warn people to stay away from the beaches when that time comes. But you can see staying well south of Atlantic Canada. And you can also notice here, this yellow circle here is those tropical storm force winds, just really grazing the more southern sections of Atlantic Canada. So those winds, 60 to 90 kilometers per hour, not expecting to see much impact, but definitely tracking it very closely still. Now let's turn our attention to over here in BC, where we have a bit of our own weather situation happening. Fire danger is rising once again as we have hot and sunny skies returning. Expect to see this continue to rise. We're not expecting to see really any precipitation over the next few days, which I'll talk about right after we take a look at the smoke map, which you'll notice not much to talk about. A little bit of haze maybe in parts of the northeast, maybe even down here in southwestern BC. A little bit of upper elevation haze, but for the most part, things are remaining fairly calm for the moment. Although as fire activity potentially picks up, given the hot and dry conditions, we may see more smoke being put off, and the ridge of high pressure sitting over BC may be pushing that smoke down to the surface. That's something to be watching out for over the next week or so, because again, any precipitation that we saw today, pretty much the last that we're getting for a while. Haida may be getting a shower, but besides that, any precipitation being deflected away from the province by that ridge of high pressure that we have building in. So don't expect to see much precipitation or any precipitation or even much cloud over the next week or so, potentially even carrying us into September. So August 20th today. Yes, August 20th today, and we'll see that continue for another week and a half or so. At least that's what it looks like right now. Here are the climbing temperatures that we're seeing over the next few days, easily reaching into the 30s in the southern interior, maybe even the mid-30s by the weekend in terms of the impact that climate change is having. I showed it for the south coast, so I'm just going to show it for the province as a whole. Over the next few days, you can see the influence that climate change is having on those temperatures, really jumping up the intensity of the heat. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, not really even a risk of thunderstorms anywhere. Bit of smoke in the corner, far northeastern corner of the province, and nothing but sunshine and warmer temperatures inland. Baneet?
Hot and dry. Thank you, Darius.
Thank you.
And whale researchers are hailing a new way to track the marine mammals.
The tap-and-go drone tagging approach is a new way of being able to put basically a small computer on the back of a whale, where we use FPV goggles and we use an expert drone pilot, and the tag is just gently tapped on the back of the whale, and then the drone goes.
So the tap-and-go drone was tested on sperm whales off Eastern Caribbean. The method is considered both cost-effective and less invasive than the traditional approach. It's also much faster and safer to execute. Once a whale is spotted, a remote pilot races the drone to deploy a tag with suctions on its back. The data collected helps study whale behavior and their movements. It's a total mix-up of sweet and savory treats. We'll take you on a tour of the new dishes at this year's PNE right after the break.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox. CBC is proud to partner with the Dr. Peter Centre for their annual Life Commitment Gala, an evening honoring Dr. Peter Jepson Young. For more information, visit drpeter.org. And the Northern Super League is back at Swangard Stadium as Vancouver Rise takes on Montreal Roses on Saturday, August 30th. Come by the CBC tent and share your soccer stories for a chance to win some great prizes.
The Peony Fair has a smorgasbord of new food items, from fusion dishes to sweet takes on savory staples.
As Jana Bailon reports, vendors behind the 10 new dishes aim to spotlight Canadian produce and flavors.
We're here at the Peony where a bunch of new, fun, and wacky food are in store. Let's give them a try.
So this here is our Canadian corn dog, eh? So we have a foot-long corn dog made with all halal beef, covered in bacon and drizzled in the classic Canadian maple syrup.
This focus that we are seeing across BC and across the country to shop local, eat local, support local farmers is really part of the Peony this year, and you're going to see it throughout, I think, all of the food offerings today.
And it's classic Canadiano. When the Peony came to us and said, hey, we're looking for something special, we're looking for something unique, this was the first thing we thought of that was going to be perfect for everybody to enjoy. Hands down, phenomenal corn dog.
By far my favorite BC berry is a blueberry. So coming to the fair, I thought what a better way to focus on BC, but to bring something unique like that. We've got this beautiful BC blueberry mascarpone crumble pizza for you to enjoy.
I just want to make like all the different flavors, the fusions put in, you know, all come over the world. Underneath the curry sauce, I put the cheddar cheese, and then you know, I use the Japanese the ingredient to make it like the curry, and we put the parsley on top of it. So like the hot curry will melt the cheddar cheese on the bottom.
So the Dubai chocolate's obviously been super trendy this year. We wanted to do our own twist on it. We homemade our pistachio cream, so it's nice and rich, and we blend it all up with real raw pistachios. So a little bit different than what you get in just the bins that everyone else is doing right now. It's loaded with crushed pistachios on top, chocolate sauce, icing sugar, and whipped cream.
As we always like to say at the Peony, you wouldn't want to eat this way every day, but one day a year is sure fun.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, fair. What's your favorite?
Okay, I can't say no to poutine.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the
classic corn dog.
Okay.
So good. Yeah, bacon bits on a halal corn dog is interesting choice.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. You can watch this newscast on CBC Gem, YouTube, and our website.
And I'll have your full next local news at 11 o'clock right after the National. Have a great night.